Bless up for tuning in to Project Chaney. Magic happens when you question everything. Conspirituality becomes reality, weirdness is welcomed, and it's okay to change your mind. Big up yourself.
Big up yourself. Welcome to another episode of Project Chaney. As always, I am Chaney. It is official, like I knew it would be. The truckers of Canada are official insurrectionists, and the news has said today that they hear that there might be QAnons in the crowd. And now everything becomes one thing, like we always knew it would. Anywho, I'm very excited to bring you this episode today. I'm going to try to stay on the best upbeat wavelength. I'm only going to bring you the good today. We're only going to talk about the good stuff going on. Because today's episode, I'm bringing you Sam Tripoli. And last week I got a little heavy with you. Sometimes you got to get a little heavy. I'm trying to keep it real and authentic. And to do that, sometimes I need to trudge through my own swamp. I need to drain my own swamp. So this week, I'm going to, if we are going to pharmaceutical drop, I'm going to red pill. I'm going to be all upbeat and happy and love and light. And it feels good. So, the truckers are still there, you guys. And you guys are supporting them. I like it. Be prepared for the news to blame them for all of the food shortages. Just be prepared for it. Just be prepared for it. It doesn't matter why it started. It's real now. It doesn't matter if the whole thing started out as a psyop. It's real now. Same to be said about the insurrection. Same to be said about Q. I'm going to keep repeating these facts to you guys. Yes, everything could have started out as a psyop, but it's real now. And now we're here and we're happy about it. We have to not ridicule and demean and say, they're so stupid for doing that. This is all just another psyop, just all another QAnon shaman. When are we going to stand up, you guys? When is it not the psyop? If you don't think the elite see us coming from 1,000 miles away, you're crazy. They know our game plan. They set it up for us. They've brainwashed us all since birth. So we either show up and don't get scared away and stand lock arms together. You know, I was hearing something about Canada and Ontario, and they have 3 pizza ovens set up, and they have saunas set up, and they're chilling out. Well, they're actually warming up, but you know what I mean. It's quite something of what we can do when we stop being scared of each other. And what we can do when we stop being scared of death. When did we become such a species so scared of dying? Literally, from the time we're born, our parents must put it on us. That's why they stick 70 plus vaccines into their infant children. Just scared of death. And in all the big pharmacon of it all, and all the big hospitalization of it all, and all the big COVID of it all. Has any of that made us healthier? Is our lifelines really longer? Are we living longer? Are we living happier? Are we living more fulfilled? Are we more connected to people? I don't think so. If you're a person out there and you're scared of any of this narrative being set up for you, like, what is up? What is up? Grab your balls, grab your tits, grab whatever thing that you need to remind yourself that you're a strong human. And if Bill Gates could kill the world, he would. If Dr. Fauci could kill the world, he would. If Putin could kill the world, he would. They don't want us all dead. There's nothing to loose, nothing to control. No sheep. If they want to nuke their whole planet, you think they want to destroy their planet with a whole bunch of nuclear bombs? However you feel about nuclear bombs. They don't want to do that. They want us to kill each other. They want to convince us, section us off into little groups, feel-good little groups. The feel-good little groups that have generated computer fucking information that feels so good, like little morsels in our brain. This person agrees with everything I say. This is my new cult. This is my new groupthink. And so I watched woke people go from, oh my gosh, everything's a lie. And then they jump onto these quote unquote woke bandwagons. And they think, oh, this whole church of thought is exactly how I think. This is exactly where I am. No, you're not exactly like anyone else. Not exactly like any other church. This whole like thought that we're all one and we're all this. You are divine and special. Your view and your ears and your heart and your brain and your everything is special unto you. What you take in and the traumas that have happened to you and the love that you've shared is divine and special unto you. Until you find that voice and get really secure in who that is, we are all as a collective missing a piece of God. Because everyone out there has this divine little puzzle piece of God. And until they reach their pure authenticity of love and living with a full heart and living in their selves of whatever the questions are, whatever the answers are, there's no wrong or right in whatever your authentic self is. And you're allowed to change it every fucking day. No church or no school or no government is there to tell you about your authentic self, your connection to God. Does the devil exist in everything? Is the devil out there? Yes. Demons are out there, you guys. Darkness is out there. But it's not every single thing you come across. Even if you just take the idea, like if you just take the philosophy of God and the philosophy of devil, you're telling me that one of these angels that God created fell out of the sky and the second it hit earth, it became equally as powerful as God? I don't believe it. I am opposite thinking today. And instead of thinking every single thing that we've ever created, the darkness and demon and elite have corrupted it. Instead of that, how about this idea? Every single low vibration thing that the demon creates, every single 2D flat fucking monotone bullshit that the demon creates, we take it over. We take it over and make it divine because we are so high vibe and so special and so of God that their putrid little black ooze tiny Lego man selves can't even compete with us. We're Gilgamesh. We're like huge. I meant that as an Eternals reference, not the Gilgamesh. That was totally a comic book reference that I got off my rant for. If you've seen the Eternals, you'll get it. Same thing being said. If you've seen the Eternals, the Gilgamesh stories are written after this dude. Anyway. Yeah. The elite are little Lilliput. They're little tiny, tiny, tiny men. Tiny little Napoleon complex men. I even question if the elite have flesh at all. Sometimes I think they're just like, remember when Kim Kardashian, when Kanye made Kim a present for her birthday and he had that creepy CGI stage thing done of her dad? And it was like, hi, Kim, I'm Robert Kardashian. And it was all just an illusion, like the same Tupac hologram that they made at Coachella. That is how I think the real lizard people run. They're holographic. Their magic's so weak it cannot fill flesh. Yeah, maybe it can reanimate a dead corpse. That is such low-level magic. That's not reincarnation. Like reanimating a dead corpse? You might as well make a chair slide across the floor. That's an inanimate object. That's low-level magic in whatever school of thought you want to take. God is so great, if you want to take this school of thought, he can come back into the flesh of a man and reanimate it for as long as he'd like to. Very purely, very cleanly, if you just want to take the idea of Jesus. But I think the idea of God, to me, to get all the way off here, God is so great. He can speak an infinite amount of religions. And he can speak directly to you. It can speak directly to you, the energy, the source, whatever name you want to give it, because I know so many of out there. I'm so triggered by the word God. Allah. Whatever's okay with you. Whatever that pinpoint top of the pyramid of good is. Whatever the whitest yin is to you. That idea, your authentic self, is a piece of that. And you have been molded and created every detail to carry that piece of the puzzle. Almost like if I were to make a perfect safe at the strongest bank in the world and put all of the locks and all the combinations so one tiny piece of the puzzle was inside. That's you. That's what you have. And you can repeat the shit I say, even if you don't think it or feel it. And you can repeat the shit that person says, and even if you don't think it or feel it. And you can keep repeating your parents' rhetoric. And you can repeat your favorite celebrities. You can repeat Joe Rogan and Neil Young. And you can keep repeating it. But your authentic self, your words, your thoughts, your beliefs, there's something about you that you might agree with a little bit of everything out there. But there's something that you're going to bring to the table that we've never feasted upon yet. And if you're trying to be everybody else, there's a million versions of that bad Boca burger. There's a million versions of that fake meat. But there's only one you. And I can't fucking wait to meet it. So anyways, I am going to Nashville on the 25th. I'm going to hang out with Sam Tripoli. I'm going to hang out with my Maria 777. I've heard rumors that maybe one Kara Mosher might go. There may be some other people from other podcasts stopping by. We are all going to enjoy Sam Tripoli's comedy night that you could probably find on Google somewhere, and maybe I'll drop a link. Or I'm sure it's at samtripoli.com. Yeah, I think it'll be really fun to hang out with you guys, break bread, talk about some big ideas. And yeah. So come and hang out. Come to Nashville. What else do I have going on today? In my upbeat, happy head, I'm going to call this episode, I think, something about learning how to play the game. My dad used to say this to me a lot, and Sam brings it up. And my dad would always be like, gotta learn how to play the game, baby girl. It's all a game out there. Every job you ever have, every school you ever go to, there's a little set of rules. And those are the little set of rules. And you can learn how to play the game outside those rules and very well inside those rules. And it's kind of crazy sometimes to sit back and think like, holy shit, even if we talk about Earth game. Earth, you come down, you get this amount of time, you get to live anywhere from 0 to 100 years. You have this certain amount of gravity that you got to live in, or buoyancy or density or whatever debate you want to go there. You can't fly. You're allowed to learn this certain amount of stuff. You have to have these certain amount of feels. You have to come through this certain family, certain socioeconomic background. Like we're all kind of set up right from the jump with our own little rules in Earth game. And it's heady to think about that, just from your elementary school life to your church life to your family, what little rules exist. Did your dad always sit in a specific table, like a specific chair at the table? Does your grandmother always the one who prays? Does somebody in your family make the birthday cakes every year? It's like sometimes when you sit back, you can almost see the game existing around you. And sometimes when you're really involved and present, you're seeing the part that you're doing for everybody else. And it is like human vibration sometimes says, you know, like all the world's a stage and we're all merely playing parts. And it kind of is that same idea with like learning how to play the game. You know, I'm out and about in the world all the time. I have a pretty public job. And I don't agree with every person I meet. I have people on this podcast, if you guys have listened to past episodes, that if you know how I feel and how I stand about things, you know very vehemently we do not, well, I don't even know if that would be the right word I'd want to use. You know, my stance is the opposite of a lot of people I've sat down and had conversation with. Or you even know some people I've sat down and had conversation with, and I've carried myself to a very cordial manner, even though I've thought this person was not necessarily the greatest dude. Because there's a certain type of cordial and questioning and still curiosity that I need to know what piece of the puzzle that person has. And so when I get this energetic feel that this relationship for me isn't over with a friend or with an internet personality or with somebody on this show, even if it feels awkward, I want to keep going into it. But I want to do it in this way. Another thing Sam and I talk about is gentleman, like being a gentleman. There used to be some rules of engagement. And I always like to tell people, if you have ever played pool or darts or something, or even golf, you hit your ball into the woods. It might take you 47 more strokes to get that ball out of the woods and back onto the course. And you could just walk out of the woods and tell the people writing down the little scorecard that it only took you 2. But golf is a gentleman's sport where everybody's not watching you all the time. It's based on you with integrity and honor and honesty to kind of keep your own score sometimes. Another example would be pool. If we're playing 9-ball and I don't hit my object ball, or if we're playing 8-ball and I don't hit my object ball, or I don't hit the shot that I called in order, I put the cue ball, or I put the cue ball on the table. Let's say you go to the bathroom and I miss my shot somehow. Something happens, I miss my shot. I put the cue ball on the edge of the table. So when you come back, you know it's your shot. It's your ball in hand. You can put that anywhere on the table you want, because that's a gentleman thing to do. Call it whatever you will. I know you guys know what I mean. I know it's so hard to... don't put a pronoun, a gentle person thing to do, Chaney. No, I'm saying gentleman, like a gentleman's sport. You guys are understanding this idea. Sometimes we keep track, even though no one's watching, and we have integrity that I'm not going to cheat because you walk away from the table. I'm not going to take 2 strokes off my score because nobody else is seeing my scorecard. Sometimes I'm just playing against myself. Sometimes I just want to be better for me. And these rules in conversation sometimes. I see people a lot of the times where they're like, oh God, I got to be around my 3D family where they're all masked and they're all COVID and I want to stab myself in the throat and twist. But why can't you know the game. You know the rules they're living by. You don't have to live by those rules. But you also don't have to argue about that shit the entire time you're around them. You already know where you stand. You see where they stand. So there's already rules set up in this game. And now you can decide how gentlemanly you want to be. No one's keeping track when no one's looking. It's just you and you. They're not going to convince you to get vaxxed tomorrow. Do you need to berate them every time you see them? Or can you just change the subject? Can you change the narrative? Sometimes I wonder in all the debates, ivermectin masks, vaccine, hydroxychloroquine, 6 feet apart, COVID, corona. Guess what? We're still all placating the narrative that we need any of this shit or any of this conversation or any of this energy going to a common fucking cold. It's the exact same way if we're going to sit here right now and talk about global warming, not global warming. Global warming, not... I could sit here and debate it with you. Guess what our debate does? It makes it fucking exist. It makes it this real thing. We're wasting time debating about this thing while all these other things are happening. And so, like with the trucker convoy, I told you guys last week, like for every day they're there, you should be prepared here. For every day that you want that dude to sit in the cold in his truck, you need to have that food and water in your house. Because this news is going to do everything. And I watch them do it to us. And I say us with the insurrectionists. There's a million whatever people that went that day. And those people for 2 weeks, all the people out there said, I'm with you. I wish I could go. All the people in the conspiracy world, I'm with you. I wish I could go. We just had our country stolen from us. We just had our election stolen from us. This is all bullshit. I'm with you. I wish I could go. And then a year later, some of my closest friends in there, they heard my story right from the horse's mouth, right from the whore's mouth. They heard my story. They still question the whole narrative, why I was there, why anyone was there. We're all just a bunch of dummies, insurrectionists, and we just fell hook, line, and sinker for this thing. In less than 360 days, all the same people that we were with you, where can we send you money and energy, love you, we're all the same ones, all doing shows to talk about the crazy insurrection. So I just say it from a place to remind you guys that you have just as short of attention span as the Kanye, entertainment television people. You seem to forget too. So stand with these truckers by making sure you and your family have everything you need to get through the winter. So when you're hungry or thirsty or don't have any products in your store, you're not getting bitter and blaming these insurrectionists, these QAnon truckers. Because look how everything's won now. Look how everything's won. So everyone you put out there and lit on fire, every quote unquote conspiracy that you weren't involved in that you thought you were smarter than, guess what? It doesn't matter. You're an insurrectionist QAnon too. So what I've always said, we can stand together or we can let them keep dividing us. We're supposed to be smarter than that. We're the ones that are supposed to be telling everybody else about it, and we're still falling for the same rhetoric. We're better than that. You got a little puzzle piece of God in you. And it's not me or Joe Rogan or fucking Donald Trump that's going to pull that piece out. Maybe it's going to be a combination of all those things in your beaker. Maybe you're going to listen to this episode today with Sam Tripoli and he's going to say something and you're going to be like, holy shit. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly, maybe not who you are. I don't know if we ever get to figure that out, but you at least know what direction you're headed in this weed forest jungle, and your blade's getting a little sharper. And sometimes with a sharp blade, we can clear a path for people behind us. But we've all done this. I know I've done this. Sometimes with my very sharp blade, I've cleared a path and people have walked behind me down that path, and then I've gotten to a dead end and jumped off the path and then looked back at them and been like, that's the wrong path. And they're like, what, bitch? You're the one who told us to go down this path. I've totally done that to people. So I think it's just as important as we heal out loud and find these words. It's okay for us to discuss ideas, for us to ask questions, for us to not to know things. That's why I want to have people on to sit and talk to me. Tell me some shit I don't know. Blow my mind. I have some shows coming up too. I have Chance coming up from the Introverse podcast. And like this dude, the way his brain works blows my fucking mind. Blows my fucking mind. When I talk to Human Vibration, she blows my mind. It's not because everybody's saying something new. It's not because it's some big, huge new idea. It's because their golden throat chakras found the words and the courage to say the thing aloud that it finally made sense. So it made some piece of my internal puzzle click on and turn gold. It made some piece of me be like, oh, I see that different now. I'm so glad you found the words for that. And sometimes it's with ideas, and sometimes it's with emotions. And sometimes it's just to see the color pink in a new way than anybody else has seen it before. To relate it to a new thing or a new feeling or a new smell that nobody else has before. It's okay. We only kind of know this and get to do this word salad mixing with each other if we have the courage and the authentic awkwardness to just settle in with each other. Just own the awkward, own the vibe, own the weird place we're all headed. Because this place after COVID, this place in this Biden puppetry world of fucking masks and macrons, this weird world of like Putins and puppets, it doesn't matter where you stand. The world is waking up to the nonsense. Where are we headed after this? Do you want some kind of really safe place with cameras on every corner? Do you want some kind of hippie commune where they're drinking Kool-Aid? Are both those ideas kind of nonsensical? Because I feel like those two ideas are like these two ends of the ideas they want us to head toward. And I feel like where we're headed is something that hasn't been written for us yet. It's not from a movie, The Hunger Games. It's not from television shows like The 100. It's not from zombie apocalypse. Where we're headed has not been written because lizards can't see how bright our future is. Lizards can't see us live in all love. Lizards can't see what the world of creation out before us is like, of instant manifestation, of a real earth of Eden. Lizards can't see that. You're such high magic. And the more you get into your authenticity, the more you settle into your love, and you say those things through a shaky voice, or you ask a question instead of it making you feel stupid, it's just unlocking things. You heal, we all heal. You grow, we all grow. You find your puzzle piece, we're all getting closer to finding ours. Maybe you get 1,000,000 puzzle pieces. Like maybe it's a bunch of needles in your haystack. And the more people are lucky enough to be around you, the more they get to find those needles. And they don't even have to look that hard. And so I could start conversations with people. And I could be like, oh, you have a mask on. I hate this. I can't even talk to you anymore. This is so fucking stupid. You're just killing yourself. And now there's that energy. Where does that go from there? Are they going to have a better day and I'm going to go have a better day? Or is there 1,000,001 other things we could talk about? Could I find something in something they said about their masks? I say the mask specific because you guys know how I feel about that. Could they say something about their masks and tell me something about their child, and that's why they've been wearing one because they have an autoimmune suppressed child, and tell me something that then I could just say, well, how's your child? Oh, well, what else does she like to do? And maybe we just have a whole conversation. Obviously, they love their kid enough to wear this mask every day for 700 plus days. And that's why they've done it, because they're scared to death. They're going to bring something home to their kid and kill their kid. So obviously, they love their kid so much. I'm sure there's 1,000,001 other things we can talk about with that kid. I just feel like if you're out there fighting all day, every day, you're not trying hard enough. If you're really walking around in your full magic or your full Christianity or your full Buddhism or your full Muslim or your full Jew or whatever your full is, if you're walking around and you're full witchy and you're going out there and just spreading black ooze and hate and lighting the world on fire and just being miserable, where's that energy going? Get weirder. Do you want to dress in all colors? You want to dress in all black? You want to wear heart-shaped sunglasses? You want to wear rose-colored ones? You're allowed to do it. Did you want an ant farm when you were a kid, but your mom always said no? Did you want a rock tumbler, but it was too loud in the house? Did you used to want the Lego set of all the castles and horses, but you weren't allowed to have that? You were a girl. Or did you want an easy bake oven when you were a little boy, but that was too faggy? Go get yourself a fucking toy. You're a grown-up. You work hard. You probably drive down the street at least once a week at some weird time of the night or day and think, oh, I could go buy anything I wanted. Oh my God, I'm so free. I'm a grown-up. You're like somewhere in your 30s. You have children of your own, and it still hits you every once in a while. Holy shit, I'm a grown-up. Go buy yourself an Etch-a-Sketch, grown-up. Go fly a kite, grown-up. Go make a campfire in your backyard. Do something kiddie. Do something that you were told at some point in your life you weren't allowed to do. You could heal something right now about yourself. You can write me some crazy story about how, bitch, I just got a gumball machine. Girl, me and my daughter did a lemonade stand in the dead of winter because she wanted to do a lemonade stand and I never was allowed to, so I wasn't even going to waste my time, and now we did a lemonade stand. This is stuff. This is how you find your little puzzle piece. And maybe if everybody's working on finding their puzzle piece, it might make playing the game so much easier. I love you guys. I hope you enjoy this episode with me and Sam. Before I get into it, I never usually go back and fix anything I said, but I just threw in a term called 601ing. And then I kind of explained it to you guys, like when you go and you're like, hey, you guys, I got a promotion at my job. And somebody else is like, I got a better promotion at my job today. And you're like, hey, why did you just 601 me? The reason I call it 601ing is because if we were on The Price is Right and they were like, we're going to show you this brand new dishwasher from Frigidaire and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, hey, Chaney, how much are you going to pick? I'm like, 600. And then you come behind me and you're like, 601. I'm like, you cunt. You did not just $1 over me. That's how I wanted to say that term, because I'm going to say it again and again. I use it frequently. So don't be a 601er in life. Listen to people. The second your brain says, I relate, say that story, stop yourself. Stop yourself. And just listen more. That's my thing I'm going to tell myself. I need to listen more. So that is the 601 explained. Somebody else separately in life, if you are feeling at rock bottom, if you're just feeling low and sad and you think you can't go any lower, I had a really great friend say this once, and I just think it is such, I picture rock bottom. I don't know why. I picture a well, like one of those old-fashioned wells where it's cobblestone all the way down, and you just go like 60 feet down, like 6 stories down into this cold, moist well. Maybe there's like 2 inches of just sitting water at the bottom and just a circle of light all the way up. Maybe you feel like you're falling. You're only like 40 feet down in the well, 50 feet down in the well. Maybe you're all the way down. The best part about rock bottom is that you can kick off. You can kick up again. You can almost get your body, you keep hitting until you get down all into that spring, and then you jump. And so if it took you years to get to fucking rock bottom, it can take you seconds to start feeling the way up. On a personal level, and for us as a whole. We all collectively felt like we were at rock bottom. But any way you want to put this now, this ship has already turned. If you are a truther and have been doing this for any amount of time, even if you've only been woke since 2020, do you realize how many more people, since you've been woke in 2020, now we're in 2022, how many more woke people there are since when you first woke up? Do you know how many more years there were before you got here? That we were all happy to see you. And hopefully when you got to this world of conspiracy and spirituality, people were kinder to you than I was to other people. And I'm still working on that every day. And I hope this show, and I hope if you guys write to me at projectchaney@gmail.com or find me on Instagram at Project Chaney or Twitter or the Chaney Project or Chaney in Wonderland. If you guys find me and write to me, I hope there are no dumb questions, and I will take the time that if I don't know it to send you in a direction of somebody who does. And I don't think there's any bottom stories on where we're going. You have to come into the conversation somewhere. So don't think it's ridiculous. I talk to people every day about ideas every day that I don't know. I'm still the worst. I'm the least read person. I don't know any authors. I'm awful with dates. We're all here together. We're all learning together. And we're all unlearning together too. I'm not going to go into too much else. I will not talk about all of The plastic playground kids and how we're from a generation of metal and wood playgrounds and it means something. But maybe, speaking of a generation of kids from metal and wood playgrounds, Sam Tripoli is one of those kids. I relate to him in a lot of ways. I feel like sometimes if I were in a man's body, I would be a lot like Sam Tripoli. Some of the stuff he says, I think it in my head. Some of it I have the courage to say aloud. And his comic head and timing, I relate to so much. But his spiritual journey and his cracking and opening heart, I also relate to. He was kind of one of the shows that showed me how a host could be humble and not know everything and ask questions and encourage other people to teach him things. He never felt silly to be like, holy shit, you just blew my mind. And I think that's kind of what we all need to get to. And maybe give somebody else the feeling and emotion of what it's like to blow someone's mind. Like, oh my God, you just gave me a little piece of my puzzle that's going to make everything else I view all different from this point forward. And so much of Tinfoil Hat and the guests that have been on there and Sam and his comedic viewpoint, if you ever watch his stand-up, is just a perspective that I really appreciate being in my God aperture. So I hope you like the sit down. If you haven't listened to Tinfoil Hat or Zero or Broken Simulation or Cash Daddies or Conspiracy Social Club with Brian Callen or a million other shows with Sam Tripoli, then you got some catching up to do. But have fun, and I will talk to you guys soon. Welcome to Project Chaney.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here.
Honor and a privilege. Love talking to you. Love chopping it up.
How's your New World Order going? How you surviving the New World Order?
Day to day, looking inside myself, not really worrying about what everybody else is doing, enjoying Pluto, coming to drop death and the rebirth, just trying to position myself for the rebirth.
I should introduce you to my audience, everyone. This is Sam Tripoli. He is a stand-up comic. He's been on some pop diva videos. He has some podcasts you might have heard of called Cash Daddies or Tinfoil Hat or Zero. And it's a privilege of mine to finally hang out with him, with you guys.
Anytime, all the time. That's what I'm about. I love talking to you. You're definitely a spiritual warrior, so it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Is there any other choice when it's conspiracy? Do you eventually have to find spirituality or you go too dark?
If you do it right, you will find spirituality. Unless you're a glutton for punishment and you enjoy the low frequency stuff, then you have to figure out how to deal with everything that you're learning. So that's kind of what I always tell people. It's like, Tinfoil Hat is great, but Zero is very important. You got to know how to deal with everything. You can learn about everything, but what good is that if you don't know how to deal with it? And that's kind of what I've been really going through right now, is just like, I'm reading the Kabbalion, the laws of the universe and how that applies to my life, and just trying to get good at magic. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to be a sorcerer, a wizard, so I can control the energy around me, which is really what I'm working on right now. And the big thing I'm working on is discipline, and trying to see how I can use discipline to convince myself and help myself to achieve certain goals that would be really hard for me maybe a year ago.
What kind of discipline? Like with food or with exercise or with sex? What kind of discipline?
Very much into, obviously, drug and alcohol. I'm sober, been sober over a year, almost a year and 2 months. I had 5 years and I went out for like 10 years. Now on this run, I have another year and 2 months almost. So drugs and alcohol, Eating, I'm really like been working on a lot of fasting lately, controlling my eating, training myself to not eat 24/7 because I don't have any other way to like enjoy my vices. So I've been doing a lot of fasting, and then just the discipline of like doing yoga every day, working out a little bit here and there, and writing down my what I'm thankful for, my goals for the day, intermediate and life goals. And I try to make that something that I do every day and just like practicing
How
abundance.
important is
So,
pen to paper to you?
well, I do it every day and it takes forever because I have ADD and my mind wanders all over the place. So I work in the numbers of the universe, 369. I do 9 things I'm thankful for, 9 goals for the day, 3 goals for my intermediate, and then 27 goals for my life. And I write those down every day and I say them out loud. And it's all about just visualizing it more than anything. It's just like, I do believe that everything is energy. Obviously, that's one of the hermetic principles. Everything is energy. And, when you verbalize it, you put that into the world, you give it energy and you put it into the universe, and the universe is like ordering. I can't find a book that I used to read that put this so well, and I can't remember the name of it because I'd buy another book, but it's basically like going to a pizza parlor and ordering pizza, and you want to order, pizza with green peppers and mushroom because that's my jam. And you sit down, the order's going to come. If the order's wrong, then you just go back up, tell them they got wrong, and they get it right. So that's kind of how I see the universe.
Instead of this whole huge energy you create, ruin your day, ruin their day, and now it didn't have to happen that way.
Yeah, I mean, I really get into the game and how to play the game, and I just think there's so many people who don't play the game and they're just lost.
Do you think that
So
entities use our energy against us and we don't even know it?
yeah, they feed off it. They push us into certain things. They want us to be low vibrations and to vibrate on a lower frequency. And again, that's all. Everything is energy. There's low energy. There's high energy. Once you start to understand that, you start to, understand how the universe works. And, something I learned very early on from a woman named Jessa Reed, which is very funny because there's so many people I know that did a lot of crystal meth and then they've got super spiritual from what they learned. And it's super funny. But so when I had her on, I was dealing with my own problem with speed. And, she was talking to me about what she learned. And she was talking about these entities, talked to her and told her about, how important it is to play the game. And I kind of brushed it off because when I think about, people play the game, I think about these like super phony people that like play the game to go up in their
Fame and power and all these things we're told we're not allowed to, strive for.
Yeah, and like in Hollywood, like that's, dude, the guy knows how to play the game, and there's this negative connotation to it. But in reality, it's like that's what it's all about, is understanding the game that's being played between me and you right now, like us not talking over each other, us working together to make this an interesting conversation that your viewers will enjoy and want to listen to the end. The relationship between you and your significant other, the relationship between you and your audience, like everything is a game. And like once you start learning that game, it helps you learn how to thrive in the universe. And like that's really what I'm working on right now. And when I go on social media, I see people lost in the game and they don't know how to play the game. And that makes me sad because they think they could change the game by shouting and screaming and marching and burning stuff down. And like that's not how the game gets played. You actually lose the game at that. And you change the game by changing yourself and be an example to others. And that's how you change the game. And people don't realize that. They're like, nobody's coming to save you. You got to save yourself.
How much of a game change are children? Did you think you were ever going to have kids? It seems like a dude like you had your kind of what game you were playing laid out. And then all of a sudden, whole new game.
100%. And, children is like a love that you can't understand. It's just like, they're just like pure energy, pure love. You love them so much. The minute you leave them, you miss them. And, you know, it's like the old saying from that Jack Nicholson movie, you make me want to be a better person, which is really what my children did. I had a stumble early on, and then I got sober for them. And like everything I do is going, how does this affect them? Including, like me, indulging in my vices. I used to go into some very dark places, man, hanging out with, they call them common lower companions. I really hate that because like at that moment, I'm right on their level, so they're not really lower companions, and they're really lost in in playing the game, their vices, their energy, them playing the game. So I don't like that term lower companion, but we're definitely engaging in low frequency activities that I used to always think, man, if my mother knew me, if my mother saw me right now, how let down would she be? She'd be so super crushed. And it always really affected me. But I was so lost into my vices that the vice had more control over me. And every day, I work with people in recovery. Every day, I'm like, if you just get another day, that's another chip in your pot, and you're less likely to go in on this stupid hand. So, having children now, like I represent them as well. And, sadly, there are people on the internet that just don't understand, they're little girls, and, their dad is their dad and they're little girls, and they don't pick their parents. But everything I do like, how does that affect them? And so I try to be a better person.
I know, and we're both old enough to remember a time that your parents didn't represent you on social media. Like, you weren't going to have this Facebook account when you were 8 years old, and it was going to be attached to all your parents and every single person you ever went to school with, and every single person that was your teacher you worked with at every job. It's like this new age now at birth that they're just for everyone. There's no privacy. It's so hard to keep things like yours anymore. Anything.
It is weird. It is definitely weird. Like we both deal in the world of conspiracy, and so many times we know people that conspire, and then they have children, and then we very quickly want to bunch the children in with the parents. And I really don't like doing that. Even before I had children, I really didn't like doing that. And I only do that if they get into the family business, right? Then you're kind of a co-conspirator at that point. But, I say this all the time because, there's just some people in the conspiracy community that just don't have a lot of honor. And they don't have a lot of respect.
I agree. There shouldn't be stuff said. There's certain, like about kids and stuff and cruel stuff like that. But there's other wave of doxing women that men don't understand. Take the conspiracy out of it. Take all the fame or who knows you out of it. Just a woman, for everyone to know her address and phone number. It's like the movie Scream. And so to watch just woman after woman after woman get doxed, it's like, what is happening? What is this?
And like, how many of these motherfuckers don't even use their real names and they're doxing people? That is the ultimate level of cowardice to me. Put your name on it, man. Put your fucking name on it.
You're actually one of the person that inspired me. That I was like, out of all the names I went through for my show, I'm like, I'm gonna put my name on it. It's me. They can never take that from me. I might say the wrong things, I might say the right things, I might whatever, but it's all mine. I felt like Tina Turner with it. Like, if any other name I called it, if I called it "Don't Drink the Water," they can always take that. They can always hijack it. They can always turn it into something else. But I'm me.
Yeah, I learned that from the kind of the Joe Rogan experience. He's like puts his name on it. Tosh.0. That's a big reason why I called it Tosh.0. So they couldn't, get rid of him and put someone else in. And it always tinfoil hat, I put with Sam Tripoli. A lot of people do call it tinfoil hat, but the name of it is with Sam Tripoli. I always put my name on it. I think it's cowardly not to, especially if you're calling people out on certain things. And even the FBI, man, and the FBI and the mob at the height of their war had an agreement. You don't go after family and you don't do any of that. And I just think it's cowardly. And like, for me, man, I'm on a show with a guy named Brian Callen, who I love with all my heart. And I really love him. Like today we had a fun show, and I wish people would get to know this guy than compared to this guy that they think they know. And, a lot of times Brian Callen's dad will come on the show, and he's been on twice. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like it. Not that I don't love his dad. His dad's a very nice guy. But I think there's this belief that I'm going to go at his dad with his dad, and even if I absolutely hated Callen, like absolutely hated him, I wouldn't disrespect him like that. I just don't think that's what gentlemen or adults do, is attack family members. Because I know I wouldn't want people to do that with me, with any of my family members. I would like people, you could say whatever you want about me. I don't really care. It's like, it's all been said 1,000 times. It's somewhat part of the gig right now. If you're going to make, you're living off the internet, you kind of have to understand that there is people going to just nitpick you and say nasty stuff. But the doxing to me is just, it's unnecessary, because now we're getting out of content and digital, and now we're getting into a reel. And it's like my big problem with Michael Rappaport when he went after, Ari Shaffir for the Kobe Bryant stuff. It's like, I get that you're really mad at him, but when you dox him and you put out your address, you're putting everybody who lives around him in danger as well for a joke you didn't like. And I don't really understand that. And I would never do that to anybody. And I always talk mad shit on the internet, but I would never go after people's families, and I would never go their parents or their children. I just think
there's like a part of me,
shit.
I'm punk rock scumbag. Part of me is just like, who cares? But I also have this very big gentleman's rule about me. Like if we're playing pool and you go to the bathroom, I'm not moving a ball if I lose. I'm putting my stick up and I'm sitting on the stool until you get back. And there's this lack of couth in class that's on the internet, where it's just like people are saying stuff. Their new hobby is being enraged, and they want to sit with their own family and like, here comes Thanksgiving. Can't wait to fight with them about COVID, fight with them about Biden, fight with them about like these, here's the polar opposites. Fight with them about music this week, fight with them about this last week. And we've all are being trained to be these little side takers. And I want to be able to sit and philosophize with anyone. That used to be what was so great about us, is the questions were cool to ask. And if you're just like me, what are you going to teach me? I want to sit with everyone. Like I've had people on my show that have had all their shots, but I want to be able to have a conversation with them. I want to ask them what they were scared of. I want to see why they did it. Because most of the time they got the shots, it's because they love someone. They thought they were doing the right thing. I don't want to sit there like, are we going to get to a place that if it is a spiritual war, we are all at each other's throat for something?
I totally agree with you on that. And I think that's a big reason why people are so angry at Joe Rogan and what he's doing, because they don't even want the conversation to happen. I've had Adam Green on. Adam Green is a Zionist killer, and I wanted to have a conversation with him. And, because I've met Adam Green in person, and you couldn't find a nicer guy. And he's very passionate about what he believes is Zionist is happening to this country. I'm very vocal that I do not believe Jews move like, the Borg as a collective. And so I like to have these conversations. But what happened with that is that they cut it up and they took, and they strawmanned the whole conversation. Like Sam has a guy who says Hitler is a Zion, and it just totally, that's all they want to do. They just want to shut down conversation. I always said tinfoil hat's all about the dangerous conversation. And I've also always said that I do not want to live in a world where I only talk to people I agree with. I am fine with if you don't see the world the same way. I recently had a friend of mine was like, I'm reading this book on January 6th and the coup d'etat that happened. And I couldn't disagree with that sentiment more. But, I've been good friends with this guy for almost 25 years. And at that moment, I got to ask myself, what's more important, this friendship and this love, or winning this conversation? And I always think sometimes you got to lose battles to win wars, and the war in that one is my friendship with him, that I want to keep the friendship. So I do that all the time. People just don't realize how weaponized their thoughts have gotten. And it really sucks.
From birth, we've been grown this way. They raised us on an MTV generation. They were like, here you guys go. And all the same people that were making our education system. And once it became like, we kind of skated out right underneath it, where we just didn't get the like blanket across America education. But the second that came out, then we all had our MTV, the same videos, the same Carson Dailies, the same regurgitation of picking those two sides, rocking the vote. And so it's like these mirrors that came out, like Republicans like Reagan and the Reagan version, and they gave the Democrats Obama. And it's just these two dudes that you're like, were either of those dudes the dude? It's just, here's the polls. More. Like, they just keep picking the idea, and they're like, here's this idea. Like Neil Young, Joni Mitchell. Have they ever been any different than the exact same they started Woodstock, they started the whole countercultural Laurel Canyon, all that CIA whole movement. Like, it's no surprise. Most of them don't own their music. That's why they killed Michael Jackson anyway, because he would have owned too much music. Like, people don't know how powerful music is. Yes. Music is so, like, to me, it's enchanting, it's magical, it's vibrational, it's things. Be careful killing all your artists. Be careful taking everything out of your, like making you think the idea of this thing belongs to this artist. They don't get that thing. Like, there's a whole part of Americana. Once you look into dirty shit I've looked into about your famous actors and actresses in Disney World, you're not going to have anything to watch anymore. Like,
totally
like
agree.
If you start cutting everybody off because
watch out if you learn how the hot dogs are made.
Yes. That's where it's just
you're not
like,
going to eat hot dogs anymore. And yeah, I mean, we're just seeing that. It's like, we just see people get all the cash and prizes. They got everything in the world except for one thing, their freedom. And man, if you sell your soul, man, man, they can do anything they want with it, literally. And if they call on you to push back, I mean, Jimmy Dore, who couldn't be more progressive, just did this giant video just annihilating Neil Young and the hypocrisy of what he represents. And, it's like, I'm not really into judging people in the past unless they are doing the judging. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
I always just think it's a full character. Like, the whole entire thing is a character. It's not even real. That's where I start leaning into not quite the whole human vibration, but we're in an actor-based reality of these people. They didn't write the top 40 song. The top 40 was picked for you. They were never the fringe any more than Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love were the fringe. Like, it's 100%. All just created for us.
Television is a lie. The ratings were lies. The ratings were all lie. Oh, dude, I have one of the Nielsen ratings. You'd always meet one Nielsen rating person, and you were like, whoa, what's that like? And they're always like, nothing really.
They're like all I do is watch Friends and Seinfeld all day.
They would send me $100 a month, and that was literally it. They didn't even ask what I was watching. So the whole thing has always been a lie, 100%. Even if you take a look at Howard Stern, and I defend Howard Stern in one sense that he's a giant germaphobe. Like, when I was in the studio twice, giant germaphobe.
Yo, I used to be a germaphobe before all this. I used to be one of those people that I never went to the public theater because I was outbreak. Like, if I heard someone cough, I'm like, I can't sit in here. I got to get out. I like alcoholed my hands. Like, the COVID of it all made me like, oh, well, I'll lick the floor in here. I'll lick one of those arrows. Don't make me stand on it. I'm not wearing a mask.
I'm the same way. I'm not afraid. Like, oh my God, they got COVID. Come breathe on me. I don't care. I'm taking zinc. I'm getting vitamin D, taking vitamin C. I'm doing it all. And guess what? I feel freaking great.
I'm just living my life exactly how I was in 1999. No different. I'm eating gummies when I want, eat McDonald's when I want, eat good food when I feel bad. And I have not gotten sick in a decade. I haven't even had a sore throat. One time I did smoke myself so high on marijuana that I was like, oh my God, do I have coronavirus? But it was at the very beginning of conspiracy when we were all like, we cannot be the ones to come down with corona right now.
And guess what? You didn't. I mean, I got something for 2 days. I had a weird shoulder situation that lasted for a while, but man, I had the flu before, and the flu and coronavirus are probably the same thing, whatever the flu is. And we can get in terrain versus germ theory because I'm really interested in that.
I know. I'm so old. I remember when a cold and flu were separate, and you just got a cold because the weather was cold outside.
No, 100%. It's like, this notion that like everything needs to be new, needs to be done different, I think that's all done.
Your water's poison, your air is poison, your body's poison, just so they can sell you some shit.
100%. 100%. And it's like, when you are worried about global warming, that tells me your life is going really well. It's going really well. It's like working out. You don't have a lot of problems, okay? Because you can worry about shit you've never witnessed in your real life. You've seen a video.
I can put any context over a polar bear swimming and make you. I could have done that exact same video Al Gore did to us, and I could have been like, "This polar bear is about to win the polar bear Olympics. It's first place in the polar bear. The iceberg it's getting to is the finish line," and everyone would have been like, "Holy shit! The polar bears are doing Olympics.
They're winning. They're winning yes. the race of swimming." Yeah, I mean that's 100% true, and it's just like. So, it's like I'm getting into like Pluto and what Pluto represents. And I can't stop. Are you
feeling this too?
What I'm feeling is that a rebirth is coming. And you either adapt or die to this shit. And everything that's freaking everybody out, especially when it comes to the misinformation and stuff like that. They know all about this stuff and they label it negative to get people to hate it, right? Like, flu season. What if flu season is a time which human beings shed their toxins?
Dude, have you heard HV's talk on this? It's so good. She's like, a flu's in a chimney. You know what a flu represents in a chimney? The time you release the heat and toxins out of it. So how weird that once every 4 years, your body might need to release heat and toxins out of it. You put shit into it for years.
Think about that. Flu season. Where we heard that again? Animals, mating season. It's just the time naturally that they do something. But what you could do is now this is coming. So getting into this whole thing that I had with Dan Shukis, he came on and really like blew my mind about Pluto. Like Pluto the last time Pluto was in the high house or whatever the term is, was the Civil War, and change comes. But the elites know this. They study the stars. They know change is coming. So they're trying to get ahead of it and control it and own it. So it seems like when in reality, and they supposedly they use Project Looking Glass and they just keep looking into the future, and it always ends with they lose power. No matter what they do, no matter what kind of variables they do, they lose power, and everybody's freaking out. So we have this thing now about, oh my God, nobody's going to work anymore. Everybody's lazy, and they're just taking government checks. Or people are realizing that the internet is a wonderful way to make money, and they're figuring out ways to set up businesses on the internet. To a large extent, way more than we even began to understand. People have bills to pay. They shut down the economy, and people are like, man, I got to figure something out. And regardless of what you want to say about OnlyFans, but we had OnlyFans, Patreon, Rockfin. We're just, people figured out ways. TaskRabbit, Care.com, figured out ways to start making money on their own. And to the point where they set up a business and they're like, hey, I don't need to go work for anybody else. I can do that because change is coming. The traditional way of doing stuff is coming to an end. That is what, every 80 years, the economy, the government, the world just changes and a death occurs, a death to the old system, and a new way is coming. And this is a new system. And it's like, They can't control it, man. Authenticity is now what it will be, the currency of the future. And conversations like this is going to be what people are looking for. And they're going to reject everything that is legacy media and network television. And it's a beautiful time. And it's like, you don't realize that until you start studying it. So you got to adapt or die.
I think authenticity is the key to your connection to God. It's the thing that makes God keep expanding and all of us grow, is by you being your awkward, weird, authentic self with whatever that is, whatever. It's not a wrong or right. It's just say it. Like, it's a vibrational. It's actually why I think the masks, the elite, I always think, put the argument further out. Why we were all fighting about the vaccines, the PCR tests and masks were the real danger. I kind of feel like we're all talking about guns, but they took our full First Amendment in the last few years. We cannot congregate at all anywhere. They've fully taken bar, church. Nope. They've fully taken that. But you got a ton of bullets and guns, but you forgot what you have them for. And it's like, they always put out that, vaccine. But yeah, we've been fighting about the vaccine for 2 years now with a mask on, why we still have to get PCR tests to fly on airplanes. We're still fighting about this thing that isn't the thing. We should just stop participating in the thing right now instead of always fighting out like, here, way out there, here's the thing. I don't know.
I completely concur. I think everything you're saying is correct. I think they get us looking over here while something's going over here. But I really do believe, just reading the tea leaves, that people are waking up every day to the fact that why is Joe Rogan the bad guy? Why is you told us all this stuff and none of it came true. Why is he the bad guy? Why isn't Fauci the bad? And I think the veil is being completely and utterly pulled back. The curtain's being pulled back, and we're seeing that like all these people that were famous were phony. They were just conformist. They didn't bring anything. These narratives that have been shoved down our throat were contrived narratives. You know, it's like when you take a look at the civil rights movement, as soon as Martin Luther King starts talking about class wars, they shoot this motherfucker, and then they replace him with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. Neither of them are reverends. Both of them are on the FBI tip. And what are they doing? They're weaponizing the relationship between black and white, making more and more and more and more divide and conquer. People are waking up to this, man. The movement of the black conservative, the HOTEP, is truly amazing, man. And it's truly powerful, and we have to support it. And it's like, the notion that like you can't criticize anybody is so old school, and people are starting to wake up to it. And I just feel like this is their last hurrah, and they failed, bro. I think they really tried so hard to like just lock everybody down, and I think they're gonna they're losing.
They're so
epically.
I already think the Titanic of the New World Order, even though for me, where I sit, for how long I've been doing this, the ship has already turned in the other direction. Like, we're no longer headed off the waterfall. There's no longer like that Hillary takeover, Soros, Amazon giving me my mailing ballot and me having a little thing on my wrist with my social credit score on it. I think that world is like, we're steering away from it. And it was just these few little key things that happened. But even the North Korea of it all, if we even see that guy on the news now, everybody's like, yep, whatever. They move on. They have because
100%.
We saw the actor shake hands with the other actor. Like, we already are. It's like we were unbrainwashed the way they brainwashed us. So all the things we were made to be scared of. Oh, General Soleimani's killed. Oh, the Middle East. What? Oh, is that scary anymore? Like, we don't even
agree.
It's like these tiny little, I get nervous.
I just want to say something real quick. Everything you're saying is 100% true. Look at and it's like not our R's or D's thing. I mean, Trump tried to get us in the war with Iran with this stupid ass drone. He's like, oh my God, the drones. Did they attack drones? And people are like, we saw you do this with Iraq. We're not forgetting. And now they want us so badly to get into a war with Ukraine when most people in the United States couldn't tell you where Ukraine was. And there's no swell of gotta go in there. People are tired of it. The Afghan war and COVID and Hillary
Even
Clinton's
Putin
election.
has no fear. When they say Putin, I feel like most Republicans, if Putin was like, hey, America, I'm going to come in and free you of Biden, most Republicans would be like, I'm into it. Come on, red tanks. Come on.
Yeah.
We're in
And
such
it's
the
just kinda
upside
crazy
down.
because we go like, what has Russia done? I mean, so much of what Russia is just this like, oh my God, they're our enemy. And we just get told they're our enemy. It's like 20 million of them died trying to stop Hitler, which I think was part of the whole plan to fucking thin the Russian herd of anybody that would, stop Stalin from fucking doing what he eventually did, and it's just like this whole thing with China. And it's like, I'm sorry, when George Soros comes out and is like, China's a bad guy, everyone's like, maybe China isn't that bad of a guy, but China is trouble. But I think people are really, I've been talking about this a lot.
It's like the head of the Catholic Church is evil as fuck. The head of America, evil as fuck. Head of China, evil as fuck. But it doesn't mean all the people are bad. It's 100%. Like, it doesn't mean all the information's bad. It doesn't mean all the art's bad. It doesn't mean, but get comfortable, like settle into the idea that wherever you're at, whatever team you're on, whoever the head of that team is peeling baby faces. Like I'm not
totally
even
agree.
Like, I laugh about it, but like,
which is the death of the U.S. empire. That is what the death of the U.S. empire. Everyone's like, the empire's dying. I go, maybe that's good, man. Do you like that our government was responsible for 1 million Iraqis dying? And that karma will be paid at some point. You do not kill 1 million people and not have to deal with that at some point. But hey, man, you know what this says to me? The end of the imperial empire is over. And guess what? I'm fine with that. I am tired of sending our sons and daughters to go die for bankers. And if that means that we no longer, that the U.S. population is no longer okay with endless wars against people that didn't do anything against us, okay, I am fine with that. Let the empire die. Who used to have an empire?
Even world
Germany.
power. What a silly idea. Like, what a silly idea. Like world power. Let's get over ourselves, everyone.
Let's pull out of it. This notion that we had to defend everybody was really great until we started realizing that we were that our government and the head of our military, okay, not the personnel, but the head of the military were the bad guys.
Yep.
They are.
Pharmaceutical wars.
Yep.
Caspian Sea pipelines. Like, it's all the same. And whoever the new world order is, and quote unquote, whatever, I just blanket evil term of the evil they, the
CIA,
people in Russia,
FBI,
yes,
all Jesuit, Mossad, Jesuit.
Even the idea, I don't even know I don't believe North Korea is real. I'm like, that whole entire thing is a whole big psyop. Like, none of it's real. I don't believe in it at all. I'm starting to wonder if places that when you go to, you have to pilgrimage when you're there, if those places aren't fake too. So then
what do you mean by pilgrimage?
So if you go to Israel, you take a pilgrimage. You don't just go to Israel to hang out like the whole time. You have a set pilgrimage that you do when you're there. When you go to Saudi Arabia, you have a set pilgrimage that you do when you're there. That's the exact same as walking into like Universal Studios, E.T. You stay on the path. And then you get to go to the cube at the end. You circle around it. You leave. You're like, yeah, I saw Saudi Arabia. We had a tour guide the whole time. We were tracked the whole time. Exact same thing can be said about Israel. And these are these two big House of Saud, which is the only country on the whole planet named after a family. We know it. And then Israel, which is a state that was purposely created by the CIA right after the war that they created.
Well, yeah, and it's called the State of Israel. It's not called the country of Israel. It's called the State of Israel.
And so if it's all stolen history, that stolen history is under sand. It's the easiest way to hide stolen history. The whole Middle East, sand. So it's just like you'd want to put things there, like a military base, to protect those things. Like,
yeah, I mean, and the best way to get everybody to basically give you the territory is convince everybody it's a
war zone. No one wants to be there.
A fucking religious war. And then everybody just fucking hands off and doesn't fucking deal with it. Yeah, man, it's all coming out. All this shit is coming out, bro. All this shit. You know, when Spike Lee does a 9/11 documentary and he talks to architects the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, they do not tell you who they think did it. Okay? They only tell you the science and the physics of the math and all that stuff of the event. They don't say who did it. They don't get into that. And the fact that Israel shut that part down seems pretty fucking guilty. And I tell people this. I go, it's not Jews, man. It's really not. Mossad, CIA, MI6 are all the same organization. They have different names for the region. And what they do is allow each side to work in the other person's country. That way they skirt laws. So Mossad, CIA, they're the same people. So when someone goes, hey, Mossad did this, the CIA
MI6, all of it. It's all shadow gov.
All Jesuit order, bro. That's all it is. Jesuit order. That is it. It is like the Vatican. And again, the Vatican does not represent Catholics. The Vatican is dark arts motherfuckers who are black nobility, who created Catholicism.
Pagans and Protestants.
There we go, man.
It's all a Catholic Church, entirely pagan and Protestants, and two people. I'm obsessed with Mary, everything Mary, the Virgin Mary, Mary Magdalene, Mary, man. Queen of Scots, the Mar of it all, C, the way it breaks down in Latin, obsessed. Like, this is a whole thing. I also, my new obsession of the last few months is the Elizabeth of it all, because Elizabeth comes in, she's the androgynous queen, and I believe they're doing rituals to make energies jump into bodies. I think they're doing high magic to make certain energies take over. So whatever the energy was of the first Elizabeth is in this Elizabeth now. And so you have this androgynous queen. She's the head of the state. She single-handedly rips out Mary Magdalene out of power. She decapitates her. And if we know from Geronimo's skull, if they hold a head, they keep the power. This is why the Skull and Bones have Geronimo's skull. He was a medicine man. He could see the future. This is so if you're Henry VIII, you want to save all these skulls of all these witches. It's so perfect. So you have Anne Boleyn. She's totally not even a real heir at all. The womb becomes Elizabeth. Mary, Queen of Scots, becomes the other one. Her son, King James. Every Bible everywhere in the world is Mary's son's name on the leather bind of it. And so the alchemy of that is way more important. His name's written bigger than God anywhere on that thing. So it's just like, that's the stolen. All that.
Totally agree with that. Get into the Talmud, get into the Bible, the King James Bible, and get into the Quran that the people listen to. It's not the original Quran. They rewrote that. So who did it? I say this all the time. Who are the people that rewrote all these books? And it's the same people. You know, it's like the Roman Catholic Church and the royals and the black nobility. They're the ones who changed these religions. You know, if you actually read something in Talmud, you'd be like, what the fuck is that? That's done purposely. So people read it, go, these people are the bad guys. The stuff in the Quran. So the outsiders read, go, these people are the bad guys. Same thing with the Bible. These people are the bad guys. That's what they do they don't want you knowing if you're coming or going.
And they're all following the stars. While we're all fighting about this stuff, they're all following the sky clock.
100%.
And they're building their buildings around it, and they have the biggest telescopes on the planet, and every window has every moon set, and every stained glass has a planet that comes through it, and everything's built because they're absorbing energy. Somehow, I don't quite get all of it, but they're building their cities around it. They're doing their rituals around it. They're using
ley lines to amplify. So if nobody's watching,
they're doing their birth dates on it too. This is the other thing. Everybody always thinks you're born at a certain time. Rituals are so intense, and if you don't have a bunch of pollutions going into your body, a woman's cycle is exactly on the menstruation cycle. It's a menstruation. So they knew their bodies so well. The ritual was done at conception. So they knew the exact birth date from conception date. So if you think that every Valentines, bloody Valentines and everything attached to that, that's your Scorpion kids. Like if you think everything that's attached to like St. Patrick's Day, that's your, you got your spring babies, you would have them in Christmas. And then there was some cultures that would sacrifice those babies in Easter. So it was like, koosh, koosh. And this is just throughout time. They've just been sacrificing us.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man, I'm really, it's like the journey of tinfoil hat. It's so interesting. So when I started tinfoil hat, I would do these spiritual episodes and they would get people be like, I'm tired of hearing this, man. I'm here for conspiracies, right? But now, like, we're like 5.5 years down through this journey. Now I'm dropping these astrology stuff, this energy stuff, and people are just eating it up because they've gone through this journey with me to understand that, like, conspiracy leads to spirituality. If we're fighting over conspirators, we're missing the message. We're missing what's really going on. And that is like magic, man. Sorcery is going on. And we have to become our own sorcerers and control our energy around us and just learn to play this game.
It's so funny. I started calling, the whole reason I grabbed this witch moniker out of the ether, for real, just to be an asshole, because I was digging up everything Latin and I was obsessed with Mary. And so when MAGA came out, it never settled right with me. And I was an anti-all establishment person. I was pro-Bernie. So MAGA, I was like Latin for witch, Latin for witch, Latin for witch. I always just knew that in my head. Latin for witch, mage, MAGA, mage, MAGA. So once I supported Trump, when I said that aloud, I like half my friends were like, burn this bitch at the stake. But I could put on my post, witch in Latin, and I started calling myself a witch, and everyone was fine with that. So I really just started to call myself it almost as a joke, and then it was the LARP, and then I'm like, oh shit, magic's real.
100%, man. Once you start realizing that, it's like these people aren't about, they have all the money. I mean, dude, if you study the fractional reserve banking system, it is so diabolical. You got to go like, hey, dude, I mean, you guys fucked us, but hey, good job. I mean, good job. I mean, you created fake money and bribed everybody, and they all sold their souls for your fake dollars. And now you own everything. You're taking back real assets. Well done. I think you're scumbags, but I got to give props when props are due. So everybody's getting lost in all this crazy shit. And it's like, they think this is about money. This ain't about money, man. They got all the money.
No, it's currency. It's energy. Money's currency.
All about
even
energy.
If you look like a place like Jamaica, they have their currency. They have like a $50,000 bill and a 5-cent coin. They really just want the coins gone because they want that metal. Here's some paper. So they put this monopoly amount on money. So eventually the coins get devalued and devalued and devalued. And then eventually the same thing, like I didn't think about the currency on here, it becomes more valuable. They sell that to us. So then they get the paper money out of our hand. And then now to use this, I have to have a good social credit score. Maybe not to get to my account, but to just get on my phone, because it's like, Chaney, you ate a cheeseburger today and posted a bad thing about your president last night. You are not allowed to get on today. And you're sure not allowed to at Sam Tripoli.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you, man. They do that to me on Facebook all the time. I just couldn't log into my Facebook the other day, and they're like, nope, you're not getting on for 2 days. So I had to go through all these different devices to get to it. And it took me 3 days to get on my Facebook.
Somebody told me to cover my camera. No joke. And there was this like a few hours on Instagram where I was allowed I felt like, am I not shadow banned anymore? This is insane. Like I felt like I could write at everyone and post tags. And I took off my camera and it's like, oh, it's me. Like I can't even create another Instagram account. They won't.
Are you off of Instagram now?
No, I'm just shadow banned. I have Project Chaney's on Instagram and I keep it clean. I do not even say an opinion. It has just the post of my show.
You're playing the game. See, that's how you do it, man. So for the first time ever, YouTube is promoting my content. For the first time in years, they're promoting my content because I go, you know what, dude? I could either get kicked off here, which is Main Street, or I could take the stuff they don't like off there. And I have these two shows that fit exactly into what YouTube is okay with. And that's Cash Daddies and A Broken Simulation. And I can leave it on there. And I took dude, it was really hard to take down things that had.
I never wanted when Gab and Flutter and whatever those other things came out. I was never going to run from the war zone. Like I wasn't going to ever go to the echo chamber. And so even I love being able to find content. Like I like Rockfin and being able to find content somewhere that you're like, all these people are, the philosophies of everything is here. I like this.
Yeah,
where you know
outlaws.
It's not censored, you know it's not this, but the same respect. I'm smart enough to know how to stay on YouTube. I don't have to talk about COVID and a stolen election every 5 seconds of the day. Like I know exactly what I'm not allowed to say because I've already been pulled down by all their algorithms. I don't need to talk about tunnels under Epstein Island. Like, or there's ways we can
YouTube.
talk about it.
If you want to, go to Rockfin, go to Odyssey for that.
Yeah, or we could be smart enough to talk about it vague, or just, it's like some things are just some things. You want to play on ABC.
You know, it's kind of like this for me. It's like, you know, when they always do satanic shit during the halftime show at the Super Bowl, I'm like, do you really got to do that here? I mean, like, this is just everybody's hanging out with grandma and the grandkids, and we just want to have a good time. You can bombard us with your dog shit later, but, you know, for that's why everyone had a weird reaction to Jan Jackson whipping out her titty. It's like, for here, dude, this is kind of where we're just chilling out.
That was all planned.
Right.
That was the FCC. That was the first time the FCC grabbed, and at the exact same grab as that, guess who else they grabbed? Same day, Howard Stern. That was the first of him being like, I'm going to be alternative media. Like once somebody takes 100%. The alternative moniker, it should raise an eyebrow. Yeah.
False flag it. False flag.
It was a false flag. That's your new shirt. Janet's tit was the false flag.
Yeah. I'm going to make that shirt. Janet Jackson's tits were a false flag. There you go. But when you get into this, dude, it's like, it's so funny because like the U.S. government was like, they're going to do a false flag event to go into war. It's like, are you giving away your playbook?
Yeah.
You just told us what you do, you dumbasses. Here's the whole thing too. It's like we start thinking these people are the smartest of the smartest. A lot of them were born into this shit and they're idiots and they're not smart. And it was so funny because when they started losing the narrative to what Trump represented, okay, not what Trump was, but what he represented.
The deplorables. Yeah, that.
Right. They brought in Henry Kissinger, who were like, oh, dude, you used to kill it. Come in, help us. Henry Kissinger never had to deal with a permanent record of what the internet is. It's impossible. I was just talking today. I don't know how they put it back into I do not know how they put it back into the cat back in the back. I don't, unless they concede completely, which would be the smart thing to do, which was get rid of all the woke shit, just retreat back, build your brands back up so people trust them again, then try to do it again. But their egos, they're too dumb and they got too big egos to do it. And they're just going to run right into the ground. And that's fine. And that's why people like Joe Rogan, who is authentic, no matter what people say about him, I know him. That's who he is. He's an authentic dude. You know, nobody's perfect, but man, that's why he's resonating with people, because he's allowing different people to come on and he's having intelligent conversations for 3 hours. That's what people want.
Yeah, they want like that open forum of, I don't really love that Joe Rogan came out and felt the need to have to say, when I have this alternative viewpoint, I'll have more of the other viewpoint on there. No, because then we're saying those are the two viewpoints and both viewpoints right now are validating a common fucking cold to me. Like,
and also,
no.
It's like,
don't answer back.
It.
Like, don't.
Everybody losing on him. It's like, he's the antithesis to the mainstream media. He is the counter to what they're talking about. So this notion that the counter should have the other side on, no, like, dude, he is countering what is being said. That's his job. Well, it's not his job, but that's what he's become. is the counter to the Fauci, to the CNN, to the MSNBC. And let me tell you, we're winning. Rachel Maddows is stepping down to go do a movie. Gotcha. You lost. You got your dick kicked in for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever you're at, the whole Russiagate into this coronavirus. And now your brand is dead. You're disposable. Now they're getting rid of you because no one trusts you. Even the liberals don't trust you anymore. So I feel for Rogan saying that because I think deep down inside, everybody really wants to be liked. I don't think it was necessary, but I think Rogan is, this word has negative connotation, but I mean in a positive way, calculated in the words he uses. So I know he did that purposefully, and I do think it puts the ball in the other court. And
he's playing the game.
Dude, let me tell you something about Joe Rogan.
I mean, no one if there's a game being played
better in what we're talking about than that guy.
If there's a game being played, then he has the exact tiptoe around it, and you can kind of see even the narrative of talking about it at all. That's where sometimes I like to just be like, is it white hats in control right now? Because we're all talking about the world being fake right now. Like all the media.
Thing is like, you can hate Q. Q did so much good. No matter what they want you to believe, Q did so much good. There's so many more people woken up to what's going on. And my favorite thing about people who call out Q-tards or whatever is that they're all the people that believed Russian collusion forever. Okay. What did Russian collusion do? Give power to the anarchy, the oligarchies. What did Q do? Gave power to the people. So you can say whatever you want and you listen to
the only danger with Q, the only danger. But it wasn't a danger because we didn't know the New World Order was, Agenda 21 really meant 2021. The only danger is they all woke up so fucking fast with so much information. And it took me 20 years to take in the information that these kids took in 700 days and really regurgitate through it and really realize that watching almost like a flock of birds, it's whew, and now everybody's a Zionist and whew, now everyone's, and I want to be when you get to Canaanites, then we can have a real, but when everyone's still a Jew and everyone's still we're still worried here and these still I'm just watching you fly back in between the black and the white, the two poles. It's it makes me still you guys, just tools of discernment, take it slow. You don't have to, the danger of the conspiracy movement is they became like CNN and Fox News where I got to the bottom of a dig. Let me out it before Sam does. Everyone come to my show and listen to this new flat earth thing before they get to his show. And so, no, the truth we're fighting for now is the lies that have been around for 1,000 years. There isn't an debate there of certain things, but everyone wants to be hot off the presses with their, opinion and their fact and their thing. And I'm they've just trained us so well to be talking heads in that way that let's not go into that. And have
emotional reactions to everything. And identity politics happens all the time. In the conspiracy, everyone says the left eats himself alive. Again, the conspiracy group or whatever they are, the conspiracy side does the exact same thing. Everybody's control opposition, everybody's secret society, everybody. And it's
cooler to be black pilled. It's cooler to be a doomsday sayer.
I'll never get into that.
Yeah.
Somebody put out something. It was Lawrence Fishburne going, what if I told you that being black pill is doing the dark arts of the elites, was lowering people's frequency? I just do not believe that. I just, man, you study the laws of the universe, you study astrology. I just think the universe has love in its heart. And at the end of the day, love will conquer all. And I have visceral reactions saying that, but it is what I believe. I believe the universe is going to win and love is going to conquer. And Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates, their
God always wins.
Dead.
Whatever that
God
is.
always wins.
Whatever that energy is, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to fight about to call it, because that's a fight. Source, New Age, Satan, that's this, that's that. we are, whatever the connection is to that good, that love, like it wins in the end. At least
In
this
the end,
timeline.
every time. And listen, in my humble opinion, sometimes bad things happen to good people because there's a journey, and it's a very black belt discussion to have. And everyone could be like, what about this happened to that? And you're like, I get it, man. I get it. But when I sit down and I go, if the universe is love, bad things happen to good people. Why? Because these people were on a journey and they completed their mission. And it sucks. And it's hard to understand because we look at death as the end, when death is just the rebirth. And we have to come to understand that. And it's like, believe me, man, there's people in my life that I would be crushed if I lost them. But I would also at some point come to understand that this is the journey that they're on. And I got them for as long as we had them. And like, I don't want anyone to go away and, well, why don't you kill yourself? I don't want to die, dog. I mean, I want to complete my mission. And whenever that happens, I don't want to die. I want to be in my children's life for as long as I can. But I also have an understanding that I'm here for a mission, dude. And I'm here to learn a lesson that the universe wants me to understand, and that our souls are the universe. What's your soul? What's your spirit? It's the universe, man. And this meat suit is just here to basically make it so we can't cheat, right? We can't just cheat and use our sorcery to get the answer. Like, we have to go through these very complex, yet compared to the universe, primitive minds that, it's kind of like I say it all the time. It's like those fat sumo suits, right?
Yeah.
You can only do so much in those fat sumo suits, right? To win the bumping game, right? You can't just grab somebody and throw them, right? You got to play with it. That's what these meat suits are. And they're here to make it so we can't.
It's high magic to animate living flesh. Like, reincarnation is different than playing Pet Cemetery and taking a dead cat out of the ground. Sometimes I think your energy and rituals of all the thousands of years, all the people that ever existed, every wizard, every witch, every pirate, every good religious person, every monk, every samurai, all the people, they all did rituals so that your energy could animate flesh right now. So this timeline, God wins. Yeah. Like, you have to be here for this.
100%. 100%. And I just think that, it's like, man, I've really connected with God the last 2 years. And, I was never an atheist, but I always rejected organized religion. And, now I just connect with Source, God. And I every day I try to practice abundance in my life, discipline in I practice 4 things in my life every day. Law of attraction, law of abundance, love thy neighbor with discipline, and it's not always the easiest. The third is the hardest, love thy neighbor, because that is accepting people who are different than you, and see the world different than you and act different than you, and finding the love in that, and it's very hard. Like, there's people in my life that have just scorched the earth, dude. And I got to find, like, hey man, that was someone that was a baby and a child that got hurt. And that's why they're doing it. And we got to find that thing and help them find love and put them in the cocoon of love. And I also have to understand that there's some people, no matter how much you love them, they're just on their path, and you can't change that, man. You could only be there for them, but most likely they're on their path. And I being in the glory of God and every day writing down my things I'm appreciative, it's just really changed my mind, because I come from paranoid people, and it's very easy to get lost. And one of the most like freeing things I ever learned was like, nobody's thinking of me. And when you initially say it, it sounds very lonely, but it's not. It's the most freeing shit in the world. It means that nobody's actively working against me, and that I am where I am by the decisions I made and the actions I've taken. Freeing, man. Freeing. The best freeing thing in the world. So now I've cut out drugs, cut out alcohol. Sex is a real hard thing for me. It's in my bones. I'm cutting out food quicker than I'm cutting out sex, but I'm working on it. It's incremental steps. I don't beat myself up, because I'm dealing with the core wiring. Having daughters has really helped me with sex.
Probably see women totally different, I imagine. Like a whole different
Oh, oh,
species.
oh yeah. I mean, I see them as human beings, and which sounds so archaic and caveman, but I would be lying to you if I just didn't think as women as sex conquerors, that I was conquering them. That was the goal, was to sleep with as many as I can, and that
No,
was
I've
the purpose
definitely
of life.
played in Conquer Life. I played that game. I
Yeah.
played Conquer Life too.
Now
Where
I
it
see
was
them
just
as a human beings, and with hopes and dreams, and not, and it's still like, I still like to get my caveman knuckle dragger on, but the truth of the matter is, like, I'm operating in, I have
different.
this old wiring with this new, operating system.
Yeah.
And, I'm trying to integrate them to the best of my abilities. But I live in the light, man. I try to spread love. I practice abundance. Learning about abundance versus scarcity was probably one of the biggest game changers in my life. And how, so much of what we're taught early is the drill in scarcity to us. So we live in fear, and we beg people to save us, when in reality,
Constant fight or flight. Constant
yeah,
flight or flight.
constant.
You
only
can't
have so many days
create
to
if
live.
you're in fight or flight. You can't create, and creation comes from source. So it's like and you're in your flow state during creation time, and they want to break that, whatever that is.
And it's all been done purposefully to hide from us how special we are.
Okay, before I totally get you out of here, in all this alchemy and the new you, do you find a different joy in stand up?
It's so interesting. I was listening to this spiritual guru talk about Ram Dass, and he was talking about how his spiritual guide had a filthy mouth. Like, he would call people cousin fuckers, and then the translator would translate it to more proper. But that really resonated with me, because I love swear words. They flow out, outside my children. I'll drop an F-bomb all over the place. And so in that aspect, it hasn't changed, but I do have a view of my job is to let people know it's okay to celebrate our differences. And so with that, my new special is going to be called Taking Arrows, because I am on the forefront of trying to kill political correctness. Now, that doesn't mean that you should go up there and just say nasty shit about people, but to work purposeful, with every word being done purposefully on what you're trying to convey. Because, making fun of and making observations of are two different things. And I would even defend your right to make fun of
whatever.
Okay, like,
but the best comics are the ones that fucking find words for the things everybody's thinking, and no one's been able to just
100%.
contour the right things. Like any of the comics that anyone says are one of the greats, it's because they found the sentence that healed us as a collective. And that is what great comedy is to me, that doesn't get enough credit when people talk about comedians. Is most of the time you're watching comedy, the chances that you're watching Bill Cosby and chuckling the whole time for every word he says, that's not real stand-up. That's not really how it is. It's like, but even Bill Cosby, the way he described chocolate cake is something we all thought of before.
Yes.
And so that's what makes great comics, like Dave Chappelle. It's like he sat there on a stool and talked about pimping a hooker, but it's because he put in a way that we could understand. And I like that. That's the golden throat chakra. And comics don't get enough credit for, like, you might have felt like everything else was polluted in your whole life, but you were blessed with a golden throat chakra.
Ha! And thank you, because literally, I started comedy when I was 22 years old, and I didn't start making money till I was 43 years old. So I went 21 years of check to check grinding, doors closed in my face, And sometimes there were only two people that believed in me. It was myself and Mitzi Shore. And she would give me spots when I would bomb. The only time she didn't give me spots, she banned me for a weekend because I got so drunk on stage in New Year's. I walked 200 people. Outside that, she always gave me spots because she saw something in me. And sometimes in Hollywood, she was the only one to do that, man. The only one to do that. But if you look at what's going on, where is the censorship going towards? It's going towards two groups, stand-ups and YouTubers. Why is that? Because those are the two forms of art that don't need banker money to create their wonderful, wonderful art. And they're very scared of that. So they want to shut you down. They don't want you to be able to create this art that is just as good as the legacy media, as shiny, and that scares them because they can't control you. Every other form of art needs money to be done on a very big scale. Dave Chappelle just needs a microphone. Joe Rogan just needs a microphone. And that scares the shit out of them, man. That scares the shit out of people. And when I go on stage, people, I sometimes they label what I do is wrong. I have no hate in my heart, dude. We are all part of the universe. I love everybody. The only people that I don't like are people who aren't authentic. That's what upsets me. Conformists upset me. I don't hate them because, you know, they're dealing with their own shit. But I don't hate any group. I make observations on people, and I try to point out that you could have fun pointing out observations of people without the walls bleeding. Yes. And that's what I do. And I get off stage and I get dirty looks from some people, but I have people come up to me going, man, thank you so much, because you're saying stuff that most people are too afraid to say. And it's all from love, man. There's everybody in my life, every walk of life, whether they were black, white, Latino, straight, gay, men, women, have all had, Jews, dude, all have wonderful, wonderful effects on my life. I wouldn't be where I am without them. So I would never, ever, ever sit there and go, this group of people are awful, or this group of people are lower than low. That's not how I operate. Every group has just wonderful people in it, and I like to celebrate them, and I like to say what funny stuff. Imagine thinking you shouldn't be able to talk about black people. And have you ever watched World Star Hip Hop? They're hilarious. It's funny ass shit. Gay people, funny ass stuff. Jews are hilarious.
White people, look how long Def Comedy Jam was on, and it all had this voice for a white guy.
Yeah, hi everybody. White people, hilarious. And and Tim Pool is great. I know he's half white. But the notion that we're going to censor, and I think he's great. I was nice to be on a show, but there's this kind of movement that we should start censoring people talking about white people, as a knee-jerk reaction to the political correctness of everybody else. No,
dude, I am so with you. It makes me, when I hear somebody are like, we need a white history month. No, stop fighting with that's what they want you to pick, the other side. That's what they're waiting for you to do. Now we need a straight bathroom. No, how about we just have one bathroom and we stop questioning what everyone's doing in there or what parts they have? What about if we back up off the thing instead of lean into the thing?
I totally agree, man. The notion that you should censor someone because they made a joke about white people or used a word for white people. And by the way, I'm going to be honest with you. The greatest empowerment is not being affected by words. I mean, now the new thing about, I'm really sexually attracted to hot racist black women. They just kind of turn me on. I don't know why. I'll watch their Instagram lives and they'll call for white genocide. And I think it's super hot. I don't know why. They're just so hot. And they're calling us the worst names, like Mayo monkeys, honkies, crack. It's it makes me, it's so bad. That's why it doesn't bother anybody, because the names are so dumb, dude. They're so dumb. And it's just you really, my whole belief is that the N-word is a psyop created in a think tank to get people to fight with each other. And you have this demographic that the N-word, they defend it. You just want to say it. Why do you want to say it so much? The reason I want to say the N-word is because it's a really easy laugh in comedy clubs with white people. I just watch some people say the N-word and white people just explode. I would love to be able to do that. But at the end of the day, if like you really want freedom, you should let the name go. Just let it fucking go.
All the words, let them go. Let everyone say them.
Let them go, dude. I'm Armenian. My uncle, my great grandfather's family got mowed down, killed by young Turks in front of them. I go to the comedy store. I hear people ripping Armenians. I fucking laugh.
I know there's so many lesbian jokes. If we can't laugh at it at this point, like
it's
just
ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous.
Whatever your deal is. But this is kind of what they want to do in a little bit that it makes me nervous. It's like the Me Too movement comes out. We're all like, that's so ridiculous. But then what we stop doing is talking about some of the things in the Me Too movement that did need to be talked about. We say like BLM's so ridiculous and we get all mad against it. But then what we stop doing is talking about some of the things probably that were racist in the country and going on that we probably need to talk about. They like blanket these movements. Yeah, it's totally both sides.
I think
both
BLM,
sides.
like ever since BLM showed up, like Martin Luther King's birthday hasn't been a big deal. I think that's done purposefully.
No, BLM is the same as LGBTQ. They're both Marxist groups. And no one wants to hear this, but I feel like I have to say it as a gay woman. I'm not joining a group that they keep adding letters to the end of so a CEO can become $1 billion. Like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no
totally
different
agree.
of LGBTQ BLM. They should just put it all together in one big long shirt.
And what they do, dude, is like, here's what I think equality is. Equal opportunity, man. Equal opportunity to get married, equal opportunity to have a job, equal opportunity to have insurance, equal opportunity to that. But
equal opportunity for us to make a joke about you.
Yeah, dude. Listen, some people like one guy I was in San Diego. He's like, why don't you just admit you hate gay people? I go, why? Because your jokes. I go, dude, I did an hour of comedy. Okay. 55 minutes of it is about men and women, how they relate. The last 5 is about why gay guys are so afraid of fucking COVID. Okay. Which I don't understand. I had this whole thing about like, dude, they're like so afraid of COVID. Like that demographic, that's the demographic that couldn't stop barebacking each other during AIDS. Right?
I always felt like they should be the most mad at Fauci. I always felt like the 50 and 60-year-old men, especially 50, 60-year-old gay men that survived, that lost all their friends decade after decade from AIDS. I actually was waiting for the Stonewall to come up and be like, this is the first time we're going to stand with Trump because daddy is the one that knows Fauci is evil.
Yeah, right. 100%. And it just didn't happen. So these people get this notion that like, if you talk about something, you're angry. I had gay friends in Buffalo, and when I was doing into my gay joke, they were worried that they were the ones laughing the most, because if it's done from a point of love, if I have no hate for anybody, I did a lot of speed. Okay, I got a little weird. Right? You know what they call speed in the AA room? They call it the queer juice. Okay. You get a little weird when you're tweaking for a couple days. Okay. So, I mean, that's just
it is
fact.
true.
So,
it is true too. You'll have all the sex in the world and never get off. It's like a nightmare. It's like
you just start going so deep into like Pornhub, like rabbit holes. I have a joke about it, like about trans in the military. It's like, I have a bunch of friends who are trans. I don't know what that says about me. Probably had a bad drug problem, went on some weird porn runs where I'm like, wow, that chick's got a fat dick, right? I mean, like, it's just the truth, dude. So it's like, the more we're like, dude, it's like, if you get in this Kabbalion, man, like we have men, we have male and female in all of us. And that's what upsets me about these gender wars, because they're making it about that. And it's like, no, man, we all have it in us.
And now your kink's getting in that label. So it's not just your sexuality, it's also your kink, whatever you want to be called in bed, whatever. Like, I want to be called and have anal sex on a Wednesday. Oh, you're a schlippity schloppity shlew. That's your, and
then it defines who you are, which is so weird to me. Like, we're coming out of this period where, like, if someone was like, I remember being home and we were talking about like how like the perception of somebody being gay has changed, right? And I think people, if you sit there and go, it's still the same. Now, are there people like I helped these 2 gay twin brothers, one day they had a flat on their tire, and they were like, our dads kicked us out. We have to live in a homeless shelter. So they hit me up, and I like to help them whenever I can't, man, the help ends me. So, obviously there are still people that have a visceral reaction to somebody in their family being gay. But I think the majority of people are like, fine, man. You're not hurting anybody. And that's really the rule. Again, what is the original? There's only one sin. Are you bringing pain, suffering to other people? Are you hurting people? Outside of that, I think people are fine with it. And I remember we were talking back today. I remember a time when I was very young, and I would stay at my grandparents' house with my family, and my grandma had a bunch of friends over, and one of them's name was Jack. And Jack was such a nice guy, and he was such a colorful character. I remember he got me one of my favorite gifts as a kid. It was this literally like 8-foot stuffed animal snake. And I loved it. And I was so thankful to Jack. And then one day I heard my grandparents and family talking that somebody saw Jack in a gay bar, and they never saw Jack. We never saw Jack again. And even at my super young age, I go, that is so tragic. That is so fucking tragic that you allowed that to cut off like somebody you loved. And I feel in my heart of hearts that there's
changed. You're so right. Because even back then, like, I had friends that they didn't know their relatives were gay until they were dying of AIDS. Like uncles that had been around forever, favorite uncles, and then they had to come out of the closet because the only way you got AIDS back then was if you were gay and taking anal sex. Like, no women got it back then. Like, there was this time where it was just a gay man genocide. And then you think about flow state and art and color and creation and all that. They just wiped it off the planet at the exact same time that they in China were doing the one child rule. So they were just killing female women. So I think that was like a slaughtering of the female, like creative.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. And, I think there's some people on the far, I think there's some people who did it on the far left that want to convince themselves China's good people. Mm-hmm. And the people are good. It's the problem with governments. I say the same thing with Israel. Israelis are wonderful people. They've been brainwashed into hating some people to do the bid of the military industrial complex and the bankers. But the Chinese people, I used to go to China all the time. Wonderful, wonderful people, would love, if you were American, love to show you their city. Super prideful, right? The government's the problem. Just like this country. Dude, the government is the problem. The people are great. I love going around the country. You go to Florida.
Can you imagine if you got judged by Newsom? Like, just the weight of Newsom everywhere you went.
I do. I literally do. People like, where are you from? California. Oh, where are you? Liptards? You're like, no, but the truth of the matter is that LA has changed, man. All the outlaws are gone. Mm-hmm. They're all gone. And just like Malcolm X and just like the Unabomber said, the rich white liberal is the most dangerous animal, and they're all here, and there's too much of them. And the only way you're going to stop it is to starve it, which is stop watching their stuff. Mm-hmm. They're not, eventually they're going to stop giving them money, not because they're tired of losing money, because they just print the money, but it's just a waste of energy and time because nobody's watching. So I don't care how much, they don't care how much money they're losing because they're spending Fed dollars. It's just like,
money's not real to them.
Yeah, we're just wasting our time here, and it doesn't really equal anything. So at the end of the day, it's all love, and everything's going to work out. And that's why I love having conversations with you, because I just was thinking while you were talking about the witches and all that, like, I remember one time I was sharing at an AA meeting about my spiritual journey and, all this stuff about the universe. And it was so funny. So many of the shares were like, yeah, man, I mean, I'm glad you're sober. You're really far out there, man. And I guess it works for you. And then occasionally someone will be like, I know what you were saying. I totally get it and why people would think it's crazy, but I'm glad you're on this journey. And I was just thinking of like how many people, if they heard our conversation, would be like, these two are crazy. And how sad I am for them that they wouldn't understand like where we're coming from and all the love that's involved, and how there's like, what we talk about is hope, because the universe is all things. and the universe has laws, and those who do not follow the laws are going to feel it. And those who play the laws and play the game are going to ascend. And like, I just feel like both of us are kind of on a wonderful path,
I love it.
that
I'm
we've crossed
excited.
each other. Yeah, me too, man. And it's just like, I'm not worried. Everybody's worried about the world. And I'm like, I'm just not. I mean, maybe economies will come and go up and down. But at the end of the day, if you connect with God and do the work of God, and not in Christian Bibles come and thumb people.
No, you know what your calling is. You know what you're allowed and not allowed to do. You know what you feel good about. Like, your lifestyle of sin is on you. Like, it's on you. Like, I don't know. All right, plug
totally
anything you want to. Plug anything.
I just got some podcasts that you can check. Just go to samtripoli.com. It's a crazy website, but it lists everything. You can see my latest episodes of my podcast. You can find my premium content on Rockfin. You can find, I have 7 free podcasts you can watch, and all my quick little things about me on the road. You can find all that, and it's all out there at samtripoli.com, and it will lead you to where you got to go to get all the good shit.
And you're totally touring, and we're going to hang out at the end of February.
I can't wait, man. We'll get Johnny Bencourt, and we'll do some conspiracy, and we'll do an opiate of the asses to go into a conspiracy in Nashville. And I look forward to hanging out with you and my Maria and having a fun time, man.
It's going to be so fun. It's going to be debauchery.
Glorious.
Okay, I love you, Sam. Thanks for hanging out.
I love you too, Chaney. Anytime you want me on, I'll come on.
Oh, thank you. I was waiting until I got my chops.
You're doing great. Hey, you're doing great, and I hope that your listeners take care of you and show you love, because you're putting out great content, and this should be what you do.
They're sweet to me. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
So she has been Chaney, and now she's off to smoke a blunt. See you next Tuesday, you fucking cunts.